Hi everyone, today I want to show how to make a countdown timer, and when it gets to 0, it loads up a new scene. First off, to create our timer, what we will need is a canvas. So we right click in the hierarchy, go to UI, press canvas. I'll just rename this timer. Then you right click your timer object, UI again, and then text mesh pro. We can call this timer text. This will show our time. I'll just change it out here in the text box to start at 00, just to show our timer. Then you go back to the timer object, add component. Now we create a script for our timer. I will call my script timer behavior. Create the script. Now when you open up the script, we want the tools to create this text. So up in usings, we'll type using TM Pro. Now we will need our fields. First off, I'm going to serialize this field, and this will be the text mesh pro UGUI. We will call this timer text as well. This tool we gain from using the TM Pro. And then we create a float called elapsed time. We will use this variable to see how much time has passed. Down here in the update, we'll set our elapsed time plus equals time.delta time. This will measure the time between seconds instead of time between frames. So now we just need to show our timer. So we use our timer text object dot text to edit the text in the object, and we will set this to elapsed time dot to string. So now our float is in a string format and can be set as text. Now save the script and jump back into the editor. In the editor, go to your timer. Find your script. Here you see the timer text. So we'll take our timer text and drag down here. And now you can see the timer's working, but this is not really what we want. So let's do something about that. We go back to your script and we want to show the time in minutes and seconds. So we will create a new integer called minutes, and we will set this to math f.floor to int. As you can see here, this returns the largest integer smaller to or equal to the number. And then in parentheses, you want to use the elapsed time object and divide it by 60. We divide this by 60 because 60 seconds is how long a minute is. So now we will create our seconds, integer seconds. This will also be equal to math f.floor to int. This time we'll use the elapsed time, but use the modular operator. Now we need these numbers formatted to a string. So we will use something called a string formatter. So we set our timer text, again mark the text element, equal to string.format. Then inside quotation marks, we use these curly braces, 00, colon, 00 again, then another curly brace, then a colon again, and then like this, then a comma afterwards, and then do minutes and seconds. And now that we have a string formatter here, we don't need this anymore. So we will delete this line, save the script. Now I know especially this part can be very confusing, so let's go over it step by step. So the first line here, integer minutes. What this does essentially is calculate how many minutes has passed. The same with seconds. This calculates how many seconds has passed. And then we use this string.format. What this does is combining the minutes and seconds into a string. So what we do essentially is telling this line to fill out the blanks. So here we have a blank and here we have a blank. For this, we want the minutes. For this, we want the seconds. So you're kind of saying this is the first value. This should be here because this goes first in the object. And this is the second value. So this should go here. Now you can save your script and start up your game to see how it works. Now it counts as it should, but let's see how it goes when it hits a minute. So when it hits a minute, this turns into 01 and it starts counting the seconds all over. But remember, what we wanted was actually a countdown timer. So we're going to change this elapsed time. We're going to rename it into remaining time to do a countdown timer instead. And we want to set this in the editor. So we're going to serialize this field. And then lastly, instead of plus equals, we're going to set this to minus equals. Now if you go to your editor, hit the timer, you can go to script, you can set the remaining time here. Let's just set this to 5 to see how it works. So it looks like it works as intended. But when it hits 0, it goes to -1, -1. So now we need to fix that as well. To fix that, all we have to do is set a condition for when it needs to count down. So we're going to use an if statement for this. So if the remaining time is more than 0, then we'll take this line, paste here. So if the remaining time is more than 0, then it needs to count down. Else the remaining time should just be 0. So now when we try again, it hits 0 and it stays at 0. Now what we can do is go to our timer object. Press F to frame it. Here you can see it's in the middle of the screen, not really where we want it. I just want mine up top. So I'm just going to mark the timer text object, drag this up here. I'm going to go down here to the alignment part, center the text, maybe even change up the font size a bit. Let's try to set this to 54. And I think what I'll also do is put the font style in bold. Now when we start a game, it's looking much better. However, it would be pretty cool to do something when the timer hits 0. Let's say that when the timer hits 0, we could spawn a game over screen. If you'd like a tutorial on creating a game over screen, comment down below and I'll create that in another video. But for now, I'll just show you how to load up a different scene when the timer hits 0. So to load up a scene, we need using Unity Engine.Scene Management. And this is where we check if the timer has reached 0. So we can set the remaining time to 0 and say Scene Manager.Load Scene. I've created a scene, it's called Main Menu. Now this line won't work if you don't have a scene called Main Menu added to a build profile. If you don't know how this line works, you can check out my other video on prefabs. But now when the timer hits 0, it should load up another scene. So if I play my game and the timer hits 0, it loads up a different scene. That's everything I wanted to show you for this video. I hope you found it useful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.